Hey, Vlad here, detach-on-destroy.com. Welcome to another video. In the previous video, we have seen how awesome terminal multiplexers are, and I'll be the first to admit that it must have been a little bit painful to watch me showing you all of these cool things without actually explaining how I did them. No worries, today we're going to install Byobu from scratch. We're going to go through all of these settings, all of the knobs, all of the gotchas, and all of the workarounds. As a reminder, I will occasionally mispronounce Byobu and I will say Byobu instead because I'm just used to say that. Now, before we begin, please make sure that you have seen the previous video. Otherwise, you're going to feel lost for sure. Let's get right to it. As in most of my videos, I'm running Windows 10 and I'm running in Ubuntu 18.04 in a virtual machine, and the virtual desktop feature from Windows 10 gives me shortcuts to do this. I can switch to Windows and I can switch back to my virtual machine. In the previous video, we have seen how easy it is to install Byobu, and I actually used this virtual machine to install it. So if you type in sudo apt install -y Byobu, my Ubuntu will actually tell me that it is already installed, right? So I already have it installed. I can type it B because I have my aliases over there. If you don't have my aliases, you can just type in Byobu and it will do exactly the same thing. Before we actually go and play around with it, I would like to point out that I have a subdomain. Let me go to my Windows machine. I have a subdomain called install.devinsider.com, which basically goes to my GitHub page, and it searches for all the repositories that are starting with install hyphen. And you can even go to install.devinsider.com/Byobu and it will search for install Byobu, and you can click over here. And if you're new here, all of my install scripts are created in such a way that you just copy paste these two lines, and what it will do is it will download the script, make it executable, and then run it. So if I go into the script, it will actually show you that it does a little bit more. So we're going to do all of these things manually. We're not going to use my script today because I want to show you all the issues first that these things are solving. So this is the one, it installs a tool called Xclip, which we're going to use for copying stuff and to be able to paste them outside of Tmux or outside of Byobu. This one will not only install Byobu, but also, if it succeeds, it will put the which Byobu, the output of which Byobu, which is going to be the user bin Byobu, into the file called etc shells. And the reason for that is that if you're using the GNOME terminal, you can actually just tell it to run any command you want. So you can just say run command Byobu. But if you're using Gwake, which is what I'm using, and you can watch my video about Gwake, is that you can actually you can't actually specify a command to run. You actually have to give it a shell, and therefore we have to make sure that Byobu is recognized as a shell by adding it into this etc shells file. The last one is the most annoying issue, which is related to sessions. So for some reason, if you already have a session running and then you start another terminal and you want to connect to this session, there's a weird bug in Byobu that it doesn't recognize it, and it sort of creates a new session, but also sort of doesn't. So it sort of connects to the same session. So you see like the output, mirrored. But if you, for example, rename the session, you will actually see that it actually renamed only one session. And if you list a session, it will actually show you two of them. There's a super easy way to solve it. All you need to do is you need to create an empty file called .reuse-session in your home folder inside of the .byobu folder, which is the folder that contains all of your config files. So let's go back to the VM. And I'm going to actually demonstrate these issues to you, and we're going to solve them, manually. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. Now, notice that by default, Byobu shows a bunch of things. In fact, if I go into full screen, you're going to see a bunch of things over here. And you see things on the left, and you also see things on the right. By the way, you haven't seen this line in my previous video because simply because I configured to not have a background. Okay, but there was a line. And in my previous video, I was only showing the windows. I kept it very minimalistic, and I showed the session on the right. So if you look over here, you're going to see the current time, the current date. You're going to see that I have 2 terabytes of storage. I actually don't. This is a virtual machine. I just capped it at 2 terabytes, and I'm using only 1% of it. I gave it 24 gigs of RAM, and I'm using only 5% of it. I have 6 cores with 2.6 gigahertz each. I actually have no idea what this is. This might be the battery, maybe something else, and this tells me that it's running for 12 minutes. Now on the left we see that we're running Ubuntu. This is an Ubuntu 18.04, and we're running only one window inside of it. And the window the indexing of Windows is starting with a 0 that we can change. And also this is the current window, and it's in my home directory. Now we're going to see how to play around with these a bit later. We're going to be able to switch on and off which ones we see and so on. But before that, I would like to point out that by default, Tmux always shows you the session. Byobu does not. So Byobu actually only shows you the sessions if you have more than one. So if you create another one, it will actually only then it will show you the session. Let me actually demonstrate this. So if I'm going to create a new session, and for some reason I have to also refresh. So if I tap in F5, it will actually source all the configs. So if I'm tapping F5, it will see, oh yeah, okay, you want to see the sessions. This is a session. This is the second one, and this is the first one. Okay, you only see them if you have more than one. I personally don't like this choice. It sort of has an advantage, you know, if you don't see anything that you kind of know that there's only one session, but still, I actually don't like this choice, and there are two ways how you can fix it, and I'm going to show you both of the ways a bit later. Before I do that, however, I actually want to demonstrate you this this session bug first. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to kill the entire server. So what happened here, I pressed Control A and then I pressed backslash, and it told me that I need to configure the Control A behavior. It says when you press Control A in Byobu, do you want it to operate in screen mode, right? So basically the default escape character as in screen, and this is what I'm going to choose, by the way, or Emacs mode, which for Emacs it just goes to the beginning of the line. And note that F12, it also operates as an escape in Byobu. So instead of pressing Control A, I can press F12. I usually never use this because I'm using Gwake, and if I press F12, then Gwake comes down. You can also press F9 and choose your escape character. You can also press F1 and you're gonna land in the menu. We're gonna do the shortcuts a bit slower, a bit later. I sort of accidentally pressed this combination right now. I wanted to do this later. Okay, so I'm gonna press in 1. Okay, so now if I do Control A and I'm gonna do backslash, it's gonna ask me, do you want to kill the server? Yes, please. Okay, so if I do BLS or Byobu ls, I have an alias for B. If I go into my aliases, you're gonna see just alias B equals Byobu. Okay, so we see that nothing is running. Okay, so let me actually minimize this. Okay, so I'm gonna run Byobu. So it's starting this one session, and if I'm going to start another terminal, and I'm going to start another, let me actually place it over here and this one over here. Okay, so if I'm going to start Byobu, it should connect to exactly the same session. Now notice that these things disappeared. This just happened because of the size, right? So this is not the issue that I want to show you. Let me actually increase the size a little bit. What did I choose there? 5222. Okay, so let's do the same thing. Okay, so again, this rendering thing is not the issue that I wanted to demonstrate. 52, come on. How did this happen? Okay, hold on. Let's just do 5020, okay? 5020 over here, okay? And also 5020 over here. Okay, so if I press F5, okay, I don't know why, but it doesn't have enough space. Okay, let's do 5323. Okay, like this, and let's do it here as well. 5323. Oh my God, what is happening? Okay, let's give it even more space. I'm not sure what these rendering issues are. I really have no idea. So I wanted to show you one issue. I'm actually showing you two issues. Okay, so this is the issue that I want to show you. Okay, so you see that it thinks that it's in the session 1, and over here it's also in the session 1, but it's also in some sort of group or some sort of socket. So if I type in BLS, see, I tapped it in both, but they're actually sort of two sessions. It's a really weird bug. So if I also rename the session, if I'm going to say this is my session, notice that it only renamed this one but not this one. This is super weird. Let's actually kill the entire server like this, and let's do that fix that my install script would do for you. So all you need to do is you need to go into the Byobu folder, and this is the folder that contains all of the Byobu configs. We're going to play around with some of them actually a bit later, and all we need to do is we need to create a file. How was it called? It was called reuse sessions. So if I'm going to take this, I'm going to go over here. All we need to do is we need to touch this file. It's completely empty, right? So if you cat into this file, it's completely empty. But now Byobu will actually behave normally, right? So if you do Byobu, it starts normally. I go and I create another terminal, Byobu. Okay, now it's literally in exactly the same session. Let me actually create a bit more space. Okay, so if I do BLS, you'll see, okay, this is exactly the same session, but it doesn't show it to me by default. Let's actually go and create another session. So I told you that I will explain all the shortcuts. So Control Shift F2 for at least for Byobu creates another session, and if I press F5 now, I should actually see the session. So we see the 1 over there, and we see the 3 over there, right? So so it's all good. Okay, and if I press Control D, it will actually kill this session. Okay, and by default, if I press Control D, you see that it actually drops out of Byobu. There is a way to actually fix that. So if you go to my dot files, which are in github.com, notice that they're not on dev inside because they're, it's a personal thing. It has nothing to do with dev inside. Agile steel dot files. Okay. Then inside of stow, inside of Byobu over here, we're going to see the files that I have. So if I go to .tmax.conf, I structured it in such a way that only these few, they change the behavior of Byobu or Tmax, and these ones change the appearance. So if you want, the appearance, copy it from them. So all we need to do is we need to go to .tmax.conf and we need to add this command over there. Okay, so I'm going to take this command over there. So I'm going to go, I'm going to open it with vim Byobu and .tmax.conf, and I'm just going to put this line in there. Okay. So now what's going to happen is that maybe we actually need to kill the whole thing first. Kill server. Okay, just to be sure. Okay, so we're going to start Byobu over here. I'm going to create another terminal. I'm going to start Byobu over here. I have two terminals. Okay, so I'm going to press Control Shift F2, which will create another session, right? So I'm pressing Alt and I go up and down to switch between the sessions. By the way, press F5 so that it shows me the session. Over here I'm in the second one, over here I'm in the first one. Okay, so now if I press Control D, it will actually destroy the session, but it will jump back into the other one. This behavior is consistent with the panes. Okay, so if I the panes and the windows, so if I maximize this, in fact, maybe actually press Control D. Okay, so if I have a bunch of windows, F2 creates another window, okay, and Shift F2 creates a horizontal split, and Control F2 creates a vertical split, okay. So if I press Control D here, it will kill the split, it will focus this one. I press again, kill the split, focus this one. If I kill this window, it kills it, it focuses this one. And if I had another session, right, if I have another session, Control Shift F2, I create another session, so Control D should jump into another session. It actually just happened, you didn't see it. Now again, it really annoys me that, even just now I wanted to show you that I jumped out of the session, I jumped into the other one, but Byobu actually doesn't show you sessions. Okay, so if I go into Byobu again, it shows me a bunch of things over here, and one of those things is the session. And as you have seen, it is configured that it actually should show you the session, but it is configured in such a way that it only shows you the session if there are two of them. So there are two ways to fix this issue. The first one is kind of hacky. You actually have to go and change the source code of Byobu. So if you go into user lib Byobu and type ll in there, you will see all of these scripts. These are the scripts that you see over here, and one of them is called session over here. Okay, so if you go to sudo vim session, okay, my password. If you scroll down, this is just a little bit of code, So basically, there is a switch statement over here. It says, okay, if we're in tmux, do this. If we're in screen, do this. So we're in tmux, and over here, it's basically just counts the session and says if there is more than one session, if the count is greater than one, then please display the sessions, with this logo, and these are the colors. It says underline and so on. Okay, and otherwise, just don't do anything. So what you could do is you could go and this symbol comments out the line. So in fact, we can actually go here. I feel in a hacky mood. So I can just comment this out, comment this out, comment this out, comment this line out as well, and this line out as well. So this is the only line that is left there. So I'm just going to go like this. I'm actually going to kill this. I'm going to go into Byobu, and as you can see, I always see the session now over there, right? Control Shift F2. I always see the session. But this is sort of the hacky way to do this. I actually don't want to do this like this. Let's go in there again. So it was in user lib Byobu and session like this. Okay, you can actually go and hack in here, right? So you can change the color. So this one says underline, this is underline. This one says white. This is this icon, this weird icon over here. You can go and change anything there. I don't recommend doing that because you need sudo access, and it's kind of hacky. What I just did, it's kind of hacky. Okay, so let's go out. Let's press F5. It didn't help. Okay, let's kill everything. Let's go back into Byobu. Okay, so I don't see the session again. So another alternative is to go into the file which is over here. It's called profile.tmux. So if you cat into profile.tmux, we're going to see that the only thing that it's doing, it actually sources yet another file. So if we copy that, and if we actually open that file with vim, right? So if I'm just going to do vim and paste that. So these are the tmux settings that Byobu puts on top of tmux. And if we scroll down, we're going to see these two things, status left and status right. So basically, it says, grab whatever is in Byobu status tmux left and put it on the left, and grab whatever is on the right, put it on the right, and after that, also put the date and put the time. So if you take these two lines I'm just going to copy them. I'm just going to copy them like I usually would. I'm going to exit from them, and you can open it with any terminal you want. Okay, so I'm going to open my my tmux conf again, which is hold on, ls-al. Okay, so I'm going to open the .tmux.conf. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to paste them in there. Okay, so I'm going to basically say do exactly the same thing as you were doing before, but also go into the left one, and I'm gonna configure it in the same way as tmux shows that. Just have brackets over there and have a space, and please put the session over there like this. This is all we need to do. I think I can press F5, and you can see the session is over there. Control Shift F2 creates the sessions. We always see the sessions exactly like we would do in tmux. Okay, so I'm closing them, closing them, closing them. Now I actually closed all of them. I'm starting. There's only one session. I always see it there. This is the way I recommend you to fix this. Cool. So far so good. Let me actually close the terminal, and let me actually launch Quake. And if I go to preferences of Quake, I cannot go into shell, and I cannot select Byobu over here. So in order to fix that, I can actually go into Quake, or it doesn't actually matter. So I can do a sudo vim etc. So before that, let me actually do which Byobu. Okay, so I can actually copy that. I can go sudo vim etc shells like this, my password, and again, you can do it with any editor you like. I'm gonna go over here, and I'm just gonna add this in there. Okay, I'm just gonna save it like that. Right, quit, close that. Okay, so I'm not sure how often it refreshes. Maybe I need to close it. Okay, go in there again, preferences, shell. Over here, now Byobu is over there. Okay, so I can go in here. I launch Quake. I kill the last ZSA session. I press F12. Quake starts, and now I have my Byobu running automatically. All right, so let's finally start with the tutorial session. So if I press F1, this is pretty much the only thing that you need to remember in Byobu. Starting the Byobu, the first thing you do is press F1. The first thing that you see is the help and the quick start guide. So if you go over here, you can go in there, and you see that if you press F1, it will show you this thing. And if you press Shift F1, it will actually display this help. So let's actually do this. If you press Shift F1, it will actually display this help. You can use the arrow keys to go up and down. You can also do slash for searching. It's sort of like Vim, so you can type in mouse, for example, and it will actually find mouse over there. N goes to the next one, and capital N goes to the previous one. Press return. Q exits it. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so F1, you have tab. You can tab between the elements. Enter selects, escape exits. So for example, escape, and we're back and over here. We can toggle the status notifications over here, right? So we can choose the ones that we want. We're actually going to do this a bit later. You can change the escape sequence. Very, very important. So right now it's Control A, but if you're an Emacs user, you can actually configure Byobu in such a way to use Control A as the Emacs key. I believe it's going to jump to the beginning of the line, and if you want Control B, or if you want something else, you can choose it here. As a reminder, F12 is also the escape sequence. What's the last thing? Okay, and you can also configure to launch at login, as you have seen in the previous video. So if you SSH into my machine, it will launch it at login. Actually, let's do that. Okay, so now it's okay. So before it was off, now it's on. Okay, now it's on. Okay, so now it's on. Yeah, Byobu currently launches at login. Exactly. Okay, so let me press escape over here. So because the default escape sequence is Control A, what you can do is you can press Control A, and now you can wait as long as you want, and now you can press the question mark. And on the English keyboard, you actually need to press Shift and then front slash. Okay, so again, Control A and then the question mark. And what you see over here are actually all the shortcuts that come from tmux, right? So these are not the ones from Byobu. So tmux comes with a bunch of shortcuts. For example, okay, so it says this is Control K, right? So Control K, it will copy end of line or something else, right? So you can search over here as well. Search, I don't know, kill, for example. Press enter. You see 6 results. N goes to the next one. Shift N goes to the previous one. Same as always. Okay. So these are the tmux keys, and as you can see, there's like 300 lines in there. Okay, Q exits. Okay, and Shift F1 shows you the keys that Byobu puts on top of tmux, and also for some weird reason, it also gives you like multiple options. So for example, if we see over here. So if we want to move the focus among the splits, we can either do it with Shift F3 F4, or we can do it with Shift and left, right, up, and down. It's kind of confusing. So what I would do is I would decide which one you want to use, and then reuse the other keys for something else. All right, so we're actually going to start a bit weirdly, but there's a reason why I do this. If you look at these, so by the way, they're always structured by the key. So F5, it's on its own, it does something, but there are other keys that are related to F5 that also doing sometimes related things, sometimes not. Okay, so this is how this file is structured. Okay, so if you look at this one, Control Shift F5, it changes the status bar color randomly. So let's actually click this a couple of times, right? So see, changes the status bar randomly. It doesn't always refresh, so sometimes you have to press F5. F5 always like refreshes, okay? Control Shift F5, F5 refreshes. Control Shift F5, F5 refreshes. So what's happening behind the scenes is that if you go into our Byobu folder, there's a file called color.tmux. By the way, there are always like two kinds of files. There's always color, this is for screen, and there's color.tmux. Okay, there's always like profile and there's profile tmux, right? So the one that we're going to use today is always going to be the tmux one. Okay, so if you're going to open, for example, color.tmux, okay, over here you see this is the color that it currently chose. Okay, so if I actually exit again, I press Control Shift F5 again, and now F5, if we cut into color.tmux, I press Control Shift F5, F5, and I'm going to cat again. You see the colors over here changed, like at least this one color. Okay, so you can obviously go manually in there. Okay, what I like to do, for example, is I like to go and say, okay, so this is going to be default, and this is going to be, for example, magenta, and this is going to be default, and this is going to be magenta. Okay, so now I'm going to save the file. I'm going to press F5. Now you see like the default is kind of black. It's not. I don't think that it's exactly transparent. Maybe it is. This is exactly actually the status bar is transparent. Everything else is magenta. Now, if you sort of like want to restore the defaults, all you need to do is to remove this file, or I'm just going to move it. So I'm going to moving a file into the same directory actually just renames it. Okay, so I'm going to say this was the original color.tmux. Actually, it's not the original. It's actually the custom one. Now, because the file is gone, if I press F5, it will actually restore the defaults. And sometimes it can't, so sometimes you have to actually kill it, start it again, and you have the default colors back again. Shift F1 to see the help again. And if we look at Shift F5, we see toggle through status lines. So if I'm going to start pressing that, it will actually toggle the right side of this line. So I'm going to press Shift F5. See, now it shows different things. Shift F5 again. Now it shows different things. Shift F5 again. Now it shows, I think this is the original ones. Now, where do these things come from? Well, they come from a file always inside of your Byobu directory. And they come from this file called status. So if we actually open this with Vim or any other text editor like Sublime Text, for example, you're going to see at the top stuff for screen and at the bottom stuff for tmux. And you see tmux left. This is what's going to be displayed on the left. So you're going to see the logo. You're not going to see the distribution. You're going to see the release. You're not going to see the architecture. Like architecture would be like x8. x86, for example, and you're going to see the session, right? But this is this weird session that sort of not always displayed. It's not always displayed. But look over here. It says you can have as many tmux write lines before here and cycle through them using Shift F5, right? So as you can see, it says tmux write and a bunch of things. Over here, it says tmux write and a bunch of things, but it's actually commented out. And you have this a couple of times. Right, so if I do Shift F5 and actually go out of Vim and actually go back into Vim, then it's going to see, you see, it just uncommented this one, it just commented this one and uncommented that one. Okay, so what you can do is you can go press F1 and you can go toggle status notifications, and you can go and you can use the arrow keys and press enter, enter, enter. I'm actually usually turning all of them off. Like what I would recommend you to do is basically to have like two of these, right? So press Shift F5, it's going to switch to another one, configure this one, press Shift F5, you're going to switch to another one, configure this one, delete all the others, and then you're going to have two of them. The first one is the one that I have for my local machines, is the one that I have everything disabled except for the network. Only the network. I only want the network, right? And then the other one, I don't need this weird session. Okay, time, updates available, everything. I like to have things very minimalistic and very, very, very clean. So now I have to press right, and now I'm in this bottom one, right? So I can go left, right, and in the apply, I can press enter. Okay, so now I'm going to press exit. Right, F5 a couple of times. Okay, so as you can see, now I see only my session, and I only see my Vim. So in fact, if I close Vim and go in there again, you will see that now the one that I have enabled is this one, which basically just has the network. In fact, hold on, I'm gonna go into preferences for my Wake, go to appearance, and I'm gonna do like a little bit like that, so that, okay, no, the other way. actually like that. Yeah, so this is what I need. Okay, let's close this one. Let's go into here. Okay, so now you see it better. So as you can see now, the one that I have over here is just the network is enabled. Everything else is commented out, right? So you can actually go even manually and just like remove this whole thing. Okay, and the second one that you would do is, you would have, the IP. So the second one is going to be for, sysadmin stuff, right? So if I'm SSHing into a server over there, I actually want to see the IP. I want to see, which machine it is, which operating system it has, how much RAM it has, things like this. Over there is actually really useful. So I'm going to exit over here. Okay, so we have Byobu with only one session. It displays me only the session, only the window, very minimalistic. Nothing is blinking weirdly. By the way, one last thing, even though you can choose like which ones you want to see, you cannot actually change their colors unless there's something that I'm unaware of. As a reminder, like all of these things that come from userlib Byobu over here, right? So for example, on my personal machine, I actually went to network. Okay, so I did sudo vim network. Okay, and I went down and I found the spot that is actually printing stuff out. It actually happens to be over here at the bottom, right? So by default, it's going to be in bold. The background is going to be in magenta, and the text is going to be in white. In fact, let me actually demonstrate this to you. So I'm going to press F2 to create another window. I'm going to go back to Windows, and I'm going to do install dev-inside.com column. And I'm actually going to grab something to download. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this thing and it's going to start installing Scala. Okay, so I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to press enter. So what's happening? Oh yeah, I should be in a folder where I can actually write stuff into. All right, so now we're actually going to see the network, and as I have shown you over here, this is what's happening, right? So it's the text is in bold, the background is in magenta, and the text is white, right? Let me actually kill that. I actually don't need this. And let's also remove Scala star like this. All right, cool. And let's also close Vim. We don't really need it anymore. Okay, so I'm in my home folder again. I have only one session. Yeah, I have only one session and I'm running only one window. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to my Windows again. We're going to look at my tmux conf and we're going to copy two of these. And these are the ones that make sure that the indexing for Windows and for panes starts with a 1. Okay, so I'm going to go into Vim Byobu dot tmux conf. I'm going to go over here and I'm not a super Vim power user. Okay, so I'm just going to paste these two in there. So now if I'm going to close it, I'm going to start it. Okay, so my window is starting with a 1 now. All right, so let's finally start talking about shortcuts. As you have seen, tmux comes with a bunch of them. So as a reminder, Control A and then question mark, which is shift slash, gives you a bunch of them, and you can go up and down. You can search with a slash for something like kill, N goes to the next instance, and shift N, or the capital N, goes to the previous instance, and Q goes out of them. Right, so all of them work in such a way that you press Control A first, and then the other one. And Byobu puts shortcuts on top of them. They're usually on the F row, as you have seen. Shift F1 shows you all of them. Okay, and I recommend you that, at least in the beginning, use the one that come from Byobu, because they cover actually the most use cases. So let's start simple. Let's start with creating things. All the creating things are related to F2. So Control Shift F2 creates a new session. F2 creates a new window. I'm going to press Control Shift F2 again to create another session. F2 to create another window. F2 to create another window. Okay, Control Shift F2 creates session, F2 creates window, Shift F2 creates a horizontal split, Control F2 creates a vertical split. By the way, for this to work, I highly recommend you to go into your Quake settings. So I'm going to go into my Quake, if you're using Quake, or your GNOME terminal, or whatever terminal you use, or whatever operating system you use. Just make sure that your shortcuts don't collide. So I went to Quake and actually disabled pretty much all of them, because I'm not using tabs in Quake. I'm not using splits in Quake. Quake itself has splits of its own, right? So I can go over here and I can create a split like this. Okay, and over there it's going to launch Byobu, and I'm gonna say, run actually a shell without Byobu. Okay, like this, and now close it. Okay, so it died, right? So, but I don't use them because they're not as powerful as the one that come from Byobu. All right, so now we know how to create things, and how do we actually go to places? Going to places is with holding Alt. So if I hold Alt, the up and down keys, they switch the session. Right, so session 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2. I'm not sure why it does that in this way. So it looks like one. It looks like going to the bottom. It actually goes up. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is Alt and up and down. Alt left and right switches the windows, right? So I'm just holding Alt up and down switches the session. Left and right switches the windows. If you do the same thing with a shift without Alt, then use the arrow keys just to switch between the splits. Shift left, shift up, down, right. By the way, notice that every time it also shows you the index, so you can also go straight to the index. I believe it's Control A and then the quotes. Yeah, quotes, and I can enter the index. It might be for the window though. Let's actually type in 2 and let's see. Let's actually type in 1. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's actually for the window. So this was actually switching. We can switch to the windows by the index. Okay, but essentially Alt up down switches sessions, Alt left right switches windows, and Shift and all the directions switches the panes. And also, if you do Alt Shift together and use the arrow keys, then you can actually resize, right? Just the arrow keys, you can hold them, you can resize them. Okay, Shift up switches to this one, Alt Shift down does that, Shift down goes to this one, Alt Shift left does that, Alt Shift up does that, down, right. It's actually kind of intuitive. Another thing that by default, Byobu displays this fat line, so it actually tries to sort of like triangulate or textually, actually rectangulate the split that you have. So I'm going to press a Shift F2 and I'm going to shift up and I'm going to do Control F2, and now you're going to see that it actually tries to rectangulate the pane that you're currently in. It's just that if it's at the corner, then you don't see the fat ones over here. Okay, so it basically if you want to change it, it basically uses the background color for the symbols over there, right? Okay. Now, as I already mentioned, for some reason, Byobu offers you a different version of these keys. So, for example, F3 and F4 switches between the windows. Okay, like this: F3, F3, F4. But as I already mentioned, it's much easier, I think, with Alt and Shift. Okay. So again, Alt up down switches sessions, left right switches windows, Shift arrow keys switches between the panes. Okay, like this, and Alt Shift resizes the panes as you want. Usually you don't have actually that many panes like this. Okay, let's do like that, and let's do like that. This is often this is what you will have. People will have Vim in the top one and then something small in the bottom ones. Now you can rename sessions with Control F8. My session. You can rename windows was just F8. So this is my which one was it actually? The third one. Okay, so this is the third window, and Alt left and F8, and this is the second window, Alt left F8. This is the first window, and I'm showing you this because there's a way to actually move them around. So if I want the first window to be in the third position, I hold Control Shift and I press F3, and it actually moves the first window to over there. So F3 moves it left, and F4 moves it to the right. Okay, and you can do the same thing with the splits. And which one do I have the splits? Okay, so let's say we're running HTOP over here. So I can do this with so before it was Control Shift F3, now it's just Control F3 or F4, right? So it just moves it this way, or it moves it the other way. And as you've seen in the previous video, you can also toggle between the layouts. So Shift F8 toggles between them, right? A bunch of them like this. So for example, I can now increase the size over here. Now I want to put it on the left, and now I actually want to toggle their layout like this. Okay, like that. It's actually not that, like, it feels like there are so many shortcuts, but you actually get used to them pretty fastly. Now, Control D kills panes one by one, but only if you're running the shell. So pressing Control D is the same as typing exit into the shell, right? So this works for this pane, and now the focus is in HTOP, but now if I press Control D, that doesn't mean anything to HTOP. Okay, so obviously I can press F10. By the way, make sure that these keys don't collide. Look, I can press F3, for example, and F3, as I already mentioned, it will actually switch to another tab, and it will actually not do this search. So if I press F3, it actually went to another tab. That's not what I want. So Byobu gives you a Shift F12, which will disable the Byobu keys, and now I can do F3, and now I can actually search. Okay, let me enable the keys again. Okay, now obviously you can press F10 and you can figure out how to kill each individual pane, but you can just press Control F6, right, and it will just kill this pane. And there was only one other left, so let me demonstrate this again. So if I have HTOP over here, I can just press Control F6, and it just kills this pane, or this split. Okay, and you can keep pressing Control F6 will kill this split. then it will start killing windows. It's not going to kill sessions though. Okay, you can also kill a window like this. So if you press Control A and then let go and then press K, it will ask you kill window, yes, no. I'm going to say no. You can also do Control A and then Shift 7, which is the the and symbol. It's going to be the same like kill window, but this time it actually shows you the name of the window. I actually have no idea why they have both of them. It sounds like it's an obvious thing to it's a useful thing to always show me the name of the window. Okay. So again, it was Control A and then Shift 7, which is the and symbol. Okay, do I want to kill the window? Yeah, sure. Okay, and the other one is Control A and then backslash, which will ask me to kill the entire server. So let's kill the server. Okay, going in there. BLS, this is the only thing. All right, so every time I'm killing the server, as soon as I'm starting Quake, it just runs Byobu for me again. So I don't even notice that, that something died behind the scenes. There's obviously also a way to kill individual sessions. I don't know the key binding for this, but if I create another session with Control Shift F2, I do BLS. There is, 2 sessions. I'm actually going to rename this to a session that I'm going to call it bad session. Okay, bad session, because I'm going to use its name to kill it. Okay, so if you do Byobu tab, actually I was hoping that ZSH would actually give me something. Byobu hyphen, this is what we have. So Byobu comes with a bunch of scripts that do useful things for you, and one of them is Byobu kill. Right? It's I don't know where it is. I don't see it, but it's there. Oh, actually, it's not one of those scripts. It's actually a command. So it's Byobu and then kill hyphen server, for example, right? There's also another one called kill session, okay? And you can say T, and you can say the name of the session, which is the bad session, right? And it will kill the session, right? So now you know how to kill panes, how to kill windows, and how to kill sessions. You know how to create things, you know how to kill things, and you know how to move between them. And the other useful thing is actually to not kill things and to instead to detach. Now by default, this is actually kind of hard to demonstrate with Quake, so I'm gonna go open this terminal over here. I'm gonna launch Byobu over there. Okay, so by default, Byobu gives you F6, which detaches the session. Okay, but I'm actually recommending you to use the one from Tmos, because Control D sort of kills the shell, and this is engraved in everyone's memory, and Control A and then D detaches, right? So Control D is to kill, Control A D is to detach, and this is also the one that is used for screen. So if one day I'm gonna SSH into a server that doesn't have Tmux and doesn't have Byobu, and I don't have root access, but it happens to have screen, at least I have this one shortcut that I also remember, because this is exactly the same way how to detach from screen sessions. In fact, I believe I have screen installed here. So if I do which screen, okay, let's actually install it real quick. Sudo app install -y screen like this, install like that, screen. Okay, come on. There we go. So I can create a new session. I'm gonna call it Vlad. Okay, so I can do Control A and then D, and it will detach. See, it says detached. Okay, and I can reattach. I believe it was Control R, like this, not screen. Right, so this is actually essentially exactly the same thing, and the Control D will kill it, right? So now it's terminated. Before I was detached, now it's terminated, right? But we're not, this is not a screen tutorial. This is a Tmux tutorial. Okay, let's actually close this, go back into Quake with my Byobu, which has only one window. Another cool command is to kill actually all the other ones. So if I go over here, I create a terminal with Byobu, and I create another one with Byobu, and I go into Quake, and I'm gonna press Alt F6. It actually, as you can see, what happened is that Quake collapsed. So what happened was that there is an Ubuntu shortcut which tries to switch between the same application. So it's like Alt Tab, but for the same application. So over here, it switches only between the terminals, even though I have, for example, a file manager open. Right, so if I'm in the terminal, Alt F6 switches only between the terminals. This is not what I want. I'm actually going to go over here, and I'm going to go type in keyboard, and I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to scroll down somewhere. I'm going to find Alt F6. I missed it. There we go. This is Alt F6. Backspace disabled is set. Okay, so now I can go into Quake. Okay, and now, now it's not transparent enough. Hold up. Appearance, make it a little bit more here, more transparent like that. Okay, so maybe even more. Appearance. Oh, it didn't change. Why didn't it change? Okay, so you see the ones behind the scenes. So if I press Alt F6 now, it will detach. It should detach them. Okay, Alt F6, and it detached. The ones behind, but the current ones survive. So Alt F6 basically detaches everyone else but yourself. Let's go in there, close that one, close that one. Open Quake again. All right, let's talk about the splits again. So if I do Shift F2 and I do Control F2 and I'm going to run HTOP over here, I can actually rip out this split into another one as I have shown you in the previous video, but I think I didn't tell you the shortcut. So Alt F11 rips it out and creates another window, and I believe Control F11 puts it back into a split. And you can also zoom in with Shift F11, but you can press Shift F11 again to zoom out, and notice that if you zoom in, you have this Z over here, right? I usually use the tmux command, which is Control A and then Z for zoom, right? So Control A Z, Control A Z, like this. Which brings us back to copying. As I showed you in the previous video, copying is actually kind of weird in Byobu and in tmux because it has its own buffer and stuff. Okay, so it happens that you go the same as in previous video. We're gonna go and tail-f var log what was it, system. It's not varlog, syslog. Okay, so this is the syslog, and as I showed you in the previous video, if you start scrolling up and down, something weird is going to happen. In fact, in Quake, it actually doesn't really work right now. I'm actually not sure why it doesn't work. Maybe because we didn't have multiple sessions. Maybe we can do another session. Okay, maybe no. Actually, that's actually kind of cool. In Quake, I can't even scroll. That's actually really cool. Okay, so anyway, so let's say that you wanna copy something. Now you can obviously copy something like this. You can like oopsie, it jumped. So it jumps over there because I'm doing tail half and F. But essentially you do F7, which enters into this scroll mode. Then you mark what you need, but as you can see, it marks it weirdly. It goes the other way. So marking is weird. So the first thing that I'm usually doing is I'm zooming in, and then I can copy what I want. Right. So for example, I want to copy Quake.desktop. Right click, copy, or Control Shift C or Control Shift V. Whatever your terminal gives you. I'm gonna zoom back out. I'm gonna go over here, and I'm going to paste that. Okay, so this is exactly what I copied. Okay, now this doesn't always work because you might zoom in, for example, but there will be something to scroll. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Control C and I'm going to tail again just so that we have more stuff. So now I'm going to have F7. Whoa, what happened? I pressed F11. Okay, so now if I press F7, now I can actually go up and down and I can scroll, right? But now if I'm marking something with the mouse, I can actually scroll down, right? So by default, what you do is as I have shown you in the previous video. So for example, let's say you want to copy from this parenthesis, from this brace. You press space and then you use your mouse key to mark stuff, right? And so you can scroll. So let's say that we want to go until here. Okay, until here. Notice not my cursor, but the color. Then you're going to press enter, and by default, notice that it actually jumped out of the scroll mode, but it also copied. Okay, so if I'm going to zoom back out and I'm going to go, for example, into this pane, and I'm going to go into some file, and I'm going to try to paste it. If I press Alt Insert, it will actually paste that. So this is exactly what we copied. However, if I go into Sublime, for example, right, I do Control V, that's actually not what I copied. Or if I do Alt Insert, it's actually not what I copied. So this is what I have shown you in the previous video, and this is what my install script is also doing. It installs one tool. Where is it? That's Scala. This tool called Xclip. Okay, Xclip. So we're gonna go and we're gonna install it. Let's actually exit this Vim. Yeah, I actually don't care about the changes like that. So we're just gonna install this tool like this. We're gonna go back to my tmux.conf in my files, and we're gonna copy these two commands. So the first one is it will turn the clipboard off. I actually don't know exactly what it. I think it turns the clipboard of the terminal off or something, and then it binds this this enter key. When we press enter, then it will actually pipe this command to Xclip, and it will basically tell it to copy this into the actual buffer and not into the tmux buffer. And also this copy clip, you can this copy pipe command, you can also change it to copy hyphen pipe hyphen and hyphen cancel, and then it will have exactly the same behavior, but I actually want it to stay in the buffer. So let me actually show this to you because I'm talking too much again. Okay, so let's actually go into byobu.tmux.conf. I'm gonna go over here, and I'm going to paste these two lines. Okay, so if I had over here, not copy pipe, but if I had copy pipe, hyphen and cancel, it will behave very similarly to what it was doing before. But I'm actually happy with this. Okay, happy with this. What did I just do? I want to exit, save this. In fact, I'm gonna kill the whole thing. Okay, like this. Okay, so I'm going back in. I'm gonna have vertical split, Shift F2, Control F2, horizontal split. I'm gonna go into here, and I'm gonna go into. In fact, I'm gonna zoom in right away. I'm gonna Control A Z. Okay, I'm gonna do tail. In fact, Control R, tail, like this. Okay, like this and more. And like this and more. Okay, so now we have something to scroll. So now if I press F7, I can go up so that I have something to scroll. And now let's say I want to copy from over here, current file, right? So I press space, I mark the same as before, right? Until here, for example. Okay, so now when I press enter, because I'm using this copy pipe and not copy pipe and cancel, first of all, it will copy it into the actual buffer. And second of all, it's not going to jump out of this history mode. Okay, so I'm pressing enter, it still stays there. Okay, so I can create, for example, another window. I can go and actually, I don't want another window. I actually want Sublime. So I'm going to go into Sublime. I'm pressing Control V as I normally would, and as you see, it actually copied exactly what I wanted. Now I'm going to close that, close that. And just as a reminder, like in the previous video, I also showed you that you don't, if, for example, okay, let's press Q to exit the mode. Let's press Control A Z to zoom out again. Okay, so this is a split, and a bunch of stuff is happening in that split. If you just press Shift F7, right? So F7 goes into the scroll mode. If I press Shift F7, Byobu will actually create a file. If I go over here, if I type in aliases, so I have an alias. If I type in buffer, it will actually open Sublime, and it will open this file with Sublime text. So because I know that this is exactly, so if I press Shift F1, we go down, we see that this is exactly the file that it will copy to. Okay, so Shift F7, it will basically save the entire history to this file. Okay, and I can just type in buffer, and it will just open Sublime and open the whole thing that was in this buffer. This is super useful. Just note, very important, this Xclip tool and also this Shift F7, this whole thing. Usually, if you're SSHing to a server, if you have Byobu running over there or Tmux, you have to have Xclip installed there. You have to have your .files there. If you press Shift F7, it's going to store it into file which is there. Okay, just so that that you understand what's happening. All right, so one of the last things that we're going to do is we're going to actually enable the mouse mode. So it's Alt F12, right? So this is the mouse mode. I actually had to press it twice for some reason. I believe that this is because F12 is also the escape key. So for some reason I have to press Alt F12, mouse off, Alt F12, mouse on, like this. So now that the mouse mode is on, I can actually move it around like this. I can, if I create windows, I can click into them like this. I can select the panes like this. I can't switch sessions with the mouse, right? So I can't, click on the session and it will not show me the other one. I'm actually not sure if we have another one. Okay. By the way, I think I have forgotten to show you how to graphically switch between the sessions. Okay, so let me actually kill the whole server like this. Okay. I'm going to start it like this. Okay, so Control Shift F2 creates another session with another window. Control Shift F2 creates another session. F2 another window. F2 another window. Over here, Shift F2 and Control F2. Okay, F2 creates things. So now if I go, for example, to the second window, Alt left, and I'm tapping Control A and then S, and it will go into this graphical thing, right? So now I can just use my arrow keys to expand things. If I want to expand, I press right, and it expands things. It gives me the preview, and I can jump into them like this. By the way, as I have shown you in the previous video, so if you go again into tail, So if we have the the mouse mode on, if I start scrolling, it's gonna go into this search mode. By the way, I'm not sure why I can't actually scroll inside of Quake. Okay, let me actually have a regular terminal and jump in there. I don't care. Let's jump into this one. Okay, so over here, because the mouse mode is on. Okay, hold on, mouse on. Okay, so now if I scroll over here, see it enables this this search mode, the scroll mode, and over there I can even like mark things properly. But somehow, again, as I mentioned in the previous video, as soon as I let go, it will actually ruin my selection. Some people say that you need to hold Shift, but if I hold Shift, it actually goes like this, and then it's just weird. And if I copy that, it's gonna copy like this part as well. So I never use the mouse mode anyway. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to detach from the session. I'm going to go into my Wake, Alt F12, mouse on, mouse off. In fact, mouse on again. Yeah, okay, so now somehow it works. Okay, maybe before it was off for some reason. Okay, so now I'm inside of Wake and I can actually scroll. Now that's pretty much all I wanted to show you today. And if you have seen my dot files, then you will see that it's super easy to bring in all of the settings that I need into this machine. So if I go into Byobu, all I need to do is I need to remove the tmux conf, I need to remove the color conf, and not tm. RM, and actually can remove this custom color comp that I created, and I'm also going to create remove the status. By the way, if I press F5, as you can see, like everything changed now. But all I need to do is I need to go into my dot files, into stove, and I can just do stove th Byobu like this, and stove th is not there. Oh, okay. My ZSHRC is not here. Okay, so I need to do stove hyphen VT like that as well, and that's gonna be Byobu like that. Okay, another link, blah blah blah. Would cause conflicts. Exist target is neither link nor directory. Really? I thought I removed them. What happened? CD no Byobu. Removed. Oh, what? Why are they there again? Color dot tmux rm status. Maybe maybe Byobu created them just right away. Okay, again, so let's go back into my dot files, stove like this, and I'm gonna run. Where's my stove command? Like this. Stove Byobu, right? So now I have my links. I press F5 a couple of times, and now my Byobu looks exactly like it was looking in the previous video. Okay, so it has all of my settings now. I'm switching between tabs, and the way it's marked, it's like this. By the way, I also need my Wake settings actually. So if I go over here and I go into Wake, and I'm gonna say import settings, because the transparency is kind of large. Yeah, this is how it usually looks like. This is the transparency that I need. Yeah, so rewatch my videos about syncing dot files because it's super cool. I hope you're gonna have fun with Byobu. I know this video is kind of long. Usually my videos are long because I talk a lot and I cover topics in depth. In any case, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. As always, it's been Vlad, devinsideyou.com. Don't forget to like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to improve the developer inside you, and if you learned something today, consider support me on Patreon. But most importantly, take care.